Hey guys, I'm going to be showing you how to make a breech today. There are a lot of breech guides, but they're all finished, so I wanted to show you how to make one start to finish. You're going to need 1/2 inch PVC and then 1/2 inch cpvc, and I'm going to be using 9/16 brass for the barrel and then 19/32 brass for the main body of it. What you want with your PVC is to have two lengths that fit flushly together. Those are pretty flush. I'm pleased with how that's almost seamless. And the spirit of this is that I'm going to take the cpvc, and I've already marked it here, and I'm going to hammer it in and cut it to a certain point, and that's going to be how the breech attaches, is with a 1/2 inch cpvc coupler. And then I'm going to do a cutout here, and this 9/16 will slide in like so and become my barrel. So since I've got most of the pieces ready, I'm going to start building it. Now you can see here that I just took my hammer and I hammered the cpvc into the 1/2 inch PVC up to that first line that I made. Now I'm going to take some super glue and just run a dot of it around the rim there, because I want to make sure that this seal is really tight so that my coupler doesn't ever break off and I lose my breech. Now what I'm going to do is at this line here, which is about the right length for a coupler to fit in, I'm going to go make that cut there, and I'll pick it up. Now that I've cut that, it's still rough. I need to sand it down a little bit. Now that I've cut this, and I've got it super glued into my PVC, and I know that these are the two lengths that I want for the ultimate final breech, I'm going to take this and measure to see that the coupler fits on perfectly. I'm going to go outside and paint all three of these pieces because I ultimately want the breech to be red. So that's what I'm going to do now. Alright, so here, before I paint it, I'm going to cut the window in my PVC for the breech. It's almost 2 inches wide, and it's going to be halfway through the PVC. I've marked that with Sharpie because I want my streamlines to kind of slide in. Now that I've made these two cuts, I'm going to come in and do a triangular cut to get into it. This piece here is going to come off, which lets me get in. There's the other half. Now we've got the basic window for our breech. I'm going to clean it up with my hobby knife and sand it down. But that's almost exactly what we want. Okay, so I'm going to be spraying my cpvc and PVC barrel. I created a Coke can thing to hold it so I could get it all at once. I'm going to be using the same red Krylon 4 plastic I used in my Fanger because I want the dark bow to match ultimately, and that's what this breech is for. So I'm hoping that this sticks even though it's cold outside. Okay, so I have here my painted section of PVC with the cpvc coupler ready to go. I took my 19/32 brass and I slid it in to get my measurements, and that's where I'm going to cut to, a little bit in from that, and then I just basically Sharpied out the entire window here so that I'll know what to cut out over at my saw. I'm going to go do that now. Alright, so as you can see, I just finished the 1930 seconds. It's got its window cut out, and I went ahead and I cut where I needed it to be here. The trick here is not to let any bends get in it and just keep everything smooth. So we've got the piece of 1/2" PVC, and this slides in there really nicely, and that looks like it's going to fit darts almost perfectly. I love that fit. Now I've got my 9/16 brass and my 2" piece of PVC that's going to be the ultimate handle for this thing, and when I slide that in all the way, I get a seal, and I'll take Sharpie and mark here and make this cut. Alright, so now I'm almost ready to epoxy my breech together, but I've got the largest diameter of brass, which fits into here. I have a small 17/32 diameter brass that fits inside the 9/16 right here. To give the streamline just a little bit more traction, I'm going to super glue that in, and then I've covered both of the pieces that'll have PVC attached to them with enough electrical tape to get a little bit of grip on it, and then I'll epoxy around that so that everything will be really solid and airtight by the time I start sliding it all together. Okay, so as you can see, my epoxy has finally set. So now that I know that these two pieces are safe to mess with, I can check the fit, and that fit is almost flawless. I love it. The only issue is that with this, if I put my dart into my breech, slide this down, and lock it in, the dart falls out. So I needed a little bit more grip. Not much, just some, because I didn't want to increase my barrel drag. It's the reason I went with 9/16 in the first place. So if I take a little bit of 17/32 and slide it in there, then when I put my dart in and slide over it, I get a little bit more friction, and that's really nice. And I'll need to put this into the dark bow before I can finally launch darts out of it, but it ought to be really great. Thanks for watching.